Good evening. I'm Franklin Muirhead, your host on Physics Playhouse. We have reached the 47th episode of our series based on Galileo's dialogue concerning the two chief world systems. In our previous episode, you will recall that our three protagonists, Sagredo, Salviati, and Simplicio, defined inertia, described the moons of Jupiter, explained ocean tides, and agreed to take a day off for a bit of sport. And so in our current episode, we find them matching wits and skills in a round of golf. Sagredo, who is the chief spokesman for Galileo's views, is having a remarkably poor round. So watch as Sagredo, Salviati, and yes, even Simplicio come to the realization that the truth is stranger than friction in the dialogue concerning the Stimpmeter.
Here's your beer, Simplicio.
Oh, thank you.
And yours as well, Salviati.
Thank you, Sagredo. Sagredo.
The Pythagoreans held integers in great esteem. Yet I would be disappointed to learn that they held large integers in greater esteem than small ones. For I confess a preference for a smaller score than that which shames my scorecard.
Pythagorean numerology explains the harmonies of the celestial spheres. Yet those spheres are perfect, whereas no perfection is discernible in the golf ball you employ. Or is not this sphere dimpled? And are not the dimples interconnected by long gashes inflicted thereupon by your Niblic's errant swings? Where, Sagredo, is the harmony of this ball?
In addition, do you not lift your head in the midst of your swing, fixing your gaze upon the perfections of the heavens rather than keeping your eye upon the ball?
I confess that my technique and my equipment may deviate from perfection. And yet, I cannot help feeling the suspicion that this golf course may have contributed to the dismal events of the day. Were not all of us afflicted by great difficulties in sinking putts, even those of inconsiderable lengths?
Yes, I thought the greens were very fast.
I must differ with you, Simplicio. For though I suffered considerable difficulty with my putts, even more than the esteemed Sagredo, nevertheless I must repudiate your conclusion that the greens were fast.
How so? Did not many of your putts speed far past the holes? And is this not commonly held to indicate that the greens were fast?
I observed the greens all day, and I never saw them to move. From this, I conclude that they were fixed, unmoving, and at rest. The speed of which you complain, Simplicio, is not to be found in the motion of the greens, but in the motion of the ball.
Then we must shift our complaints to the inadequate friction with which the greens oppose the motions of our putts. But which among us is capable of unraveling the mystery of this friction?
Not I.
Nor I. And yet, noble Segredo, I see that you are reaching into your golf bag, pulling therefrom many odd implements. And what is this curious metal implement? And what bearing does this have on our present discussion?
This is a Stimpmeter, and it's used to measure the speed of greens. The Stimpmeter was invented by Edward S. Stimpson, the 1935 Massachusetts amateur champion.
I don't see what this device can reveal about the surface of a putting green, for it seems ill-designed to roll properly.
Indeed, it is not designed to roll at all. This extruded aluminum bar, about 1 meter long, has a V-shaped groove running its entire length. The groove subtends an angle of 145 degrees. The tapered end is placed on the green, and the golf ball is placed in this notch. When the Stimpmeter is raised to an angle of 20 degrees, the ball rolls down the Stimpmeter and onto the surface of the green.
I note the inscription, USGA, on one end. From this, am I to infer that the United States Golf Association sanctions the use of this curious engine?
They do indeed, and with the use of the Stimpmeter, as well as the Stimpmeter booklet, greenskeepers may adjust, perfect, and homogenize the friction with which the greens oppose the motions of the putts. It is in this very matter that I suspect our local greenskeeper of egregious laxity.
Has the United States Golf Association set standards for the use of the Stimpmeter?
The USGA has decreed no universal standards. Instead, they allow local jurisdictions to choose their own standards. Nevertheless, a ball which rolls from a Stimpmeter typically rolls from 4 to 12 feet, depending on whether the green is level and on the amount of friction.
You mean 1.213 to 3.658 meters.
Bravo, Simplicio. For tournament play, greenskeepers generally adjust greens so that the Stimpmeter distance is about 3.5 meters. But for ordinary play by duffers such as Salviati, and occasionally by myself, greenskeepers are wise to adjust the Stimpmeter reading to a much lower value.
And what methods avail for changing the speed of a green?
I should imagine that a judicious mowing and watering of the surface, coupled with the application of fertilizer or sand, would have their effect. But these are matters bearing more on the science of agronomy than on the natural philosophy of our noble pastime. No, I recommend that we draw our attention to a matter which our analytical powers can more easily bring to resolution. That is, what is the speed of a ball just after rolling down a Stimpmeter?
What is the speed of a golf ball just after rolling down a Stimpmeter?
Have we enough information to solve this riddle? You have told us much about the dimensions of the Stimpmeter, but little about the size of a golf ball. Nor can we rely upon inspecting yours to enlighten us, seeing that it is as pocked and marred as the surface of the moon.
The U.S. Golfing Association has decreed that the diameter of a golf ball shall be 1.68 inches.
Wait, you mean 4.267 centimeters?